Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video, and yes, you read that title correctly. My $4,557.31 Cyberpower PC broke. Okay. Here's what happened. So, back in June of 2018, I bought almost a $5,000 gaming computer. Now, I'm not a big gamer, and I didn't buy the computer for primarily gaming. I bought the computer because I needed an ultimate content creation computer. And at the time, there was a chip shortage, CPU, a computer processor shortage, and then there was also a video card shortage because everybody was buying them for these cryptocurrency mining rigs, etc. And it was like a crazy fad. But anyway, any new video card that came out, you could not get it. And then there was also some supply chain issues with Intel. Couldn't get some of their chips either. So it was easier for me at the time to buy a pre-built machine and rock and roll and start editing. Now, this is June 2018, and the specs on this computer are actually pretty absurd. But I'll go ahead and put a screenshot here. This is the purchase receipt from BestBuy.com. Now, I bought the computer through Best Buy, but the computer was actually from a company called Cyberpower PC. And they looked to be like a decent enough company when I looked them up. And so I ended up purchasing the computer through Best Buy. And then apparently it went to Cyberpower, they had to build it, and they shipped it to my local Best Buy, and then I went and picked up the computer. Again, this is all in June 2018. So I bought this computer and the specs on it. Let me just read these off real quick. I've taken some notes here. It's an i9 CPU, 7960X, 16-core CPU. Pretty amazing CPU. Just unfathomable from when I was a kid to now. They were up to 16 cores. But anyway, 32 gigabytes of RAM. Okay, that's plenty of RAM for video editing, for content creation. The video card was a 1080 Ti with 11 gigabytes of video RAM. Again, enough for video editing or anything else I wanted to do. 480 gigabyte solid state hard drive with 3 terabytes of extra storage on another drive. So any big video files I had, I could put them on the 3 terabyte drive. Keep the system files on the 480 gigabyte solid state drive for maximum performance. And then it was liquid cooled, which I hadn't had much experience with liquid cooling, although everybody online talks about, you know, you've got to have a liquid cooled PC because they're the best and they keep lower temps and blah, 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 which I'm thinking, okay, who cares? I've always had air cooled computers. Now, spoiler alert, if you look behind me right here, you'll notice that this is not liquid cooled. This is air cooled. That's actually an air cooler right there. You might be wondering why. So everything's going fine. I start doing some more video editing. I start doing some more client projects. I really enjoyed this computer. It did a lot for me. It was fantastic. I loved it until it was about October of 2019 when I had a problem. And the problem was the computer would not turn on. Very strange. One day I woke up, tried to turn the computer on, computer wouldn't turn on. I unplugged the power supply, I plugged it back in, I double checked everything. Computer still wouldn't turn on. I started doing some research on forums and it didn't look good. At that point, it was looking very bad. So I started asking around, didn't know what to do. I ended up taking the computer to Micro Center and having them take a look at it because I didn't know what the problem was. I didn't want to open it, and I took the computer to Micro Center and they told me that I have a dead CPU. And I was thinking, what? This computer's barely a year old. Like, how could the CPU be dead? And they're like, yeah, it's definitely dead. We did some tests and we don't even have that CPU. But even if we did, it'd be like $2,000. And I'm like, what? Because again, there was a shortage of CPUs still happening, especially on this CPU, which was the 7960X. 16 core, very hard to get, very in demand, massive CPU. So I'm like, I don't want to spend $2,000. That's like almost half the price of the whole computer. So I'm thinking, crap, what do I do? What do I do? I go pick up the computer from Micro Center. I actually call Best Buy and they tell me, you need to call Cyberpower because that's who actually built the computer. Okay, so I call Cyberpower and I give them my order number and I tell them what happened, and they told me that there's nothing that they can do because the computer is out of warranty. There was only a 1-year warranty on the computer, and the computer is out of warranty at this point. Again, I bought the computer June 2018. This is around October, November-ish, probably November 2019. So only a little bit over that year mark, and now I have a blown CPU that's like basically an engine blown in a car. So pretty major problem. So I'm thinking, what the heck do I do? So I took the computer to a specialty computer repair store, and I had him look at it, and he diagnosed it the same way Micro Center did, but he said there's probably a couple other things I can do that they can't do because I have special equipment. I'm thinking, cool, that's awesome. So he calls me back a couple days after I take the computer in and says, I found the problem with the computer and why the CPU doesn't work. And I said, great, why is it a dead CPU? It's not gonna work. He's like, well, check this out. He pulled off the liquid cooler and said, look, he goes, I'm shocked that they put this on your computer because this is a very cheap, that's the Cyberpower PC logo, by the way. He said, I'm shocked that they put this cooler, this liquid cooler, on your actual computer because it is one of the cheapest liquid coolers I've seen, especially for a computer at that price. Again, $4,557.31. So he said, look, this is one of the cheapest ones I've seen. That, you know, the standard I like to use is this other one. So let me see if I can fix the chip. And so he went on and tried to fix it. And here's a couple screenshots of what the computer looked like. And it just didn't work. And so at this point, I needed a new CPU. I needed a new motherboard. And I also needed professional help to get it back. And so obviously, spoiler alert, the computer is back. You can see it here. I had to spend over $500 paying this gentleman to help me fix the computer, and then I also had to spend about another $1,000 in parts, getting a new CPU, a new cooler here. I didn't go liquid cooled. Obviously, again, I went air cooled, and this is one of the best air coolers for temperatures. This thing's been rock solid behind me ever since I moved. But now the specs of the computer are, I've got an i9-7920X, which is only a 12-core CPU, but it's actually at a higher clock speed, so I think it's better. Again, I'm not a computer tech nerd, but I think it's better based on everything I've tried to do, and everything I've thrown at the computer, it's done really well, so I'm not worried about the performance there. Originally, it had 32 gigabytes of RAM when I first bought it. I've upgraded it to 64 gigabytes of RAM. I have no issues running any programs, doing video editing. The moral of the story here today is if you buy one of these Cyberpower PCs, and you can see here, here's my notes for this video. Okay, if you buy one of these computers, okay, first of all, knowing what I know now, I would not recommend buying one of these computers like this one right here. I would recommend going to a specialty computer shop and telling them what you want, and then having them build a computer for you based on your budget, because they offer warranties and they can generally get parts cheaper than you can if you're buying them off Newegg or Amazon or anywhere else. The other thing is, don't cheap out on the cooler here, okay? If you're buying a Ferrari, you know, don't put pump gas in it. Put premium gas in it, okay? Don't make the same mistake I did because it cost me, $1,500 at least. And then all my wasted time. And then not to mention, my computer was down for like a couple months, and I didn't get the computer back until like January of 2020. So I was down October, November, December, and January. 4 months, no computer. So don't do that. Make sure that you don't cheap out on these components that are tied into your CPU or GPU. This computer, again, behind me, I went air-cooled. You can see the air cooler right there. Air-cooled, in my opinion, is the way to go. It doesn't fail as often, and if you have a problem, you'll know about, you'll hear it, you'll sense something's off. Liquid-cooled, it just overheats unless you're watching the temps in creation. They're a little pricey, but you have support in case you have any issues. And then the other thing I realized during this process was you know, if you are putting a lot of money into an asset like a computer, you can get a warranty through Square Trade or someone else, somebody similar. You can warranty that product for $20 a month. Again, if something happens like me where you had a problem, $1,500, $2,000, you send it to them, they'll literally fix it for you in a timely manner. And it's an insurance policy. So if you have stuff like this, you know, and you're getting into content creation, I would definitely recommend that you know, play it safe and make sure that you have, you know, your investments secured, because at the end of the day, this is an investment that you need to protect. So that's my story. $4,557 down the drain because Cyberpower put a cheap cooler on my system. I mean, look at this. That's it. So that's it. Don't do what I did. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you insure your computer parts. Again, after this, you know, made me really appreciate Apple, because I've had a lot of Apple computers for a long time. Haven't had any issues. But I still like Windows 10 on the PC. I think it's a good operating system. I just think you need to have higher end gear to really make it work right and unlock it if you're trying to be a creator, you're trying to create stuff on the platform. So that's all I've got for you today. Let me know what you thought about this video. Leave a comment down below. Don't forget to hit that like button, and I'll see you next time.